Shalom, shalom, shalom. Peace and glory to the Most High, Yah, to the Messiah, and to all y'all in the chat, to the brothers of salt of the earth. I'd like to greet y'all, to my brother Eric here. Today you see the title, Who Are the Two Witnesses? Who are the ones that's going to prophesize and give all this torment towards the people? Basically, who are the ones going to be the next Aaron and Moses? Well, tonight we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how different belief on this topic, even within y'all. Y'all might have different beliefs on it. So we got a treat tonight. Brother Eric got some breaking news, y'all. He got something that's coming out that nobody can go against to find out who are the two witnesses of the Bible. Brother Eric.
Hey, shalom, Mark. Shalom and blessings to everybody in the chat. Hold on one second. Shalom to everybody in the chat. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, to His Son, and to the Holy Spirit. Hope everybody's doing well. But this topic of the two witnesses, this is something that I've dealt with before, gave my perspective on. I guess before we get into anything, I really want to know what brothers and sisters in the chat think about the two witnesses. Shalom to Brother Jason Camphor, lifted by Yah. Shalom and blessings to the brother Tone Spain. Shalom to you. Good to see you. Sister Patricia Thomas. Shalom and blessings to you. Got Sister Linya Israel in the chat. Shalom and blessings, sister. Blessing to see all y'all. I guess I want to start there, bro, with who everybody in the chat think the two witnesses are. Shalom to Brother Yash, Brother Mighty Lion. I'll put the link in the chat. Hold on. Here you go.
Shalom, Brother Yash. Bring out them scriptures.
Yeah, who do you brothers and sisters in the chat think the two witnesses are? We're going to get into a lot of reading with this. Like I said, I gave my perspective on it in the past, so brothers and sisters might know where I stand with it. But I want to know what you brothers and sisters think in the chat.
Hey, look what Tone Spain TV put up there. This is really interesting what he said.
I always thought they'd be two guys we've never seen or heard of with the anointings that Moses and Elijah had. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because you brought up that example with Moses and Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
During the time of Israel's release, or prior to that, they were used as tools to issue or initiate Israel's release from Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Look at simple trading. Look what they put up.
Northern and Southern Kingdom.
I heard that before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Brother Mighty Lion put Enoch and Elijah.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I asked the brothers and sisters in the chat is because this is an issue that a lot of people are divided on who the two witnesses are. Some people believe that it's Southern and the Northern Kingdom. Some people believe that Enoch and Elijah. You know, I've heard both perspectives, given mine. And so it's a lot of things that Israel are divided on in terms of, certain doctrines and beliefs. So when in Christianity, I believe it was Enoch and Elijah.
And that's very interesting.
Yeah, what do you believe now?
That's very interesting.
For me, it's a toss up between the northern and southern kingdom, Enoch and Elijah. I can't say definitely. Okay.
Jason Phillip is coming. Hey, he made sure. Okay, that's a good one too. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know, I used to think I ain't gonna give it away. So I also thought it was Elijah and Elijah at one time. Elisha. Because when we read the scriptures, how he left was basically he got his power. But yeah.
Yeah. Who is this? This is Fatima Yahudim said, I thought Enoch and Elijah, but more studying, I think northern and southern kingdoms. Okay.
Okay.
Um, if it's anybody who believe it's the southern and northern kingdom who want to chime in, feel free to do so. It's just a discussion. Lifted by Yah said, I'll be honest, I'm trying to unlearn and relearn. That's a good approach. We all got to do that. Who
You
are the
know
two
what
witnesses?
interested me is that lifted by y'all said they learned that in Christianity. I didn't even learn that in Christianity.
Yeah, I didn't either. We didn't learn anything like that. We used the Bible to make sermons, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, well, knowing me, I probably said he was probably gonna be Billy Graham, Reverend Billy Graham, Old Roberts.
Yeah,
You know, I didn't know nothing of Christianity.
yeah. So, what did you want to get into first?
I guess you must go to Revelations 11 and read or point out about the two witness. I got a few scriptures here. Um, it's a pattern that we can see from Revelation 11. It says two witness from the book of Exodus to Matthew's. It's a pattern when we talking about a witness. It's actually was witness. It wasn't nothing spiritual about it. Actually, it really happened. It was something spiritual about it, but not in the Christianity sense of being spiritual. What I'm saying. If y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all know what I mean by that.
Yeah, like a representation of, in a way.
Yeah. So it was
Right.
it was physical, but y'all spiritual, but not in Christianity. You're right. Not Christianity spiritual. And in other words, we can read something that's a totally different what we read. Nah, not that. You see, okay.
What?
I was just reading what Fatima. Yeah.
Billy Graham and Oral Roberts.
I'm telling y'all, when I was in Christianity, I probably believed that. I can see me now reading their books and start to cry. Okay.
Well, one thing, when it comes to the two witnesses, I like that example you give with Moses and Aaron, because like I said, when you look at Moses and Aaron, they came in at a time when Israel was getting ready to be delivered, and they brought judgment on Egypt. So when you read about the two witnesses in Revelations, could it be a correlation with that? What event are we looking at when the two witnesses come on the scene? Because they're coming in at a time when Israel is being delivered as well.
Mm-hmm. I see Jason Phillip they put up Isaiah 43.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it off the top, ain't you? Yeah, that's a lot of people that believes this the southern and northern kingdom use these scriptures right here.
Yeah.
Is that y'all are my two witness and understand that I am he before me. There was no God form, neither shall. Is that talking about the witness as in being in Revelations? I don't really think it's talking about that, but I know a lot of people use some scriptures when they trying to, use the northern and southern kingdom as being a true witness. Y'all keep in mind 3.5 years, right? Okay. So you want me to start here? I can.
Yeah, keep that number in mind. 3.5, or better yet, yeah, keep that number in mind. 3.5 days, rather.
3.5 days, which is 3.5 years, or 3,000.5 years. All right, so you want to just start at verse 8 because I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with Revelations 11 on the chat anyway. I'll usually on the top.
Start at we can just start at verse 3.
Okay, let me get there. I can't really see it on the screen. All right. Verse 3, Revelations 11, verse 3 starts. And I will give power unto my two witnesses. That's very important, y'all. He said, I will give power unto my two witnesses, that they shall prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of what? Of the earth. And if any man, remember that, standing before the God of the earth, and if any man will hurt them, fire proceeds out of their mouth, devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecies, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascend out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. Now, I'm gonna stop right there. Now, this right here bring remembrance about what we was talking about in the last live, with us going into the wilderness. Because remember, the beast, the dragon, is supposed to make war with the remnant of her seed. Ain't that something right here? It's like a connection there. This right here says the beast is going to make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. That's something to think about. Verse 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom, as one evidence, Egypt, another evidence, where also our Lord was crucified. Wow. Very big statement right there. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another. Sound like Christmas. Because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. Verse 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And verse 12 says, and they heard a great voice from heaven said unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven into the clouds, and their enemies beheld them. Now, we see the evidence within that reading, what it says. Spiritually Sodom. Then it says Egypt, and where our Lord, our Messiah, was crucified at. Now, of course, when they say spiritually, people would take that and say that don't actually mean the actual place. But you notice it put where our Messiah was crucified at last. When it says spiritually Solomon, spiritually Egypt, and where our Lord crucified. So it lets you know it's pointing at a spot or area. Stand on that, brother.
Yeah, the that's verse 8. It says their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is called, which is spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Adonai was crucified. All right, and another thing people will do, or you will hear when it says where our Mashiach was crucified, they'll look at the things that was done to us here, and they'll say, you know, Mashiach said, just as you done it to the least of these, you done it unto me. And that is true. But notice in verse 9, it says, and they of the people and the kindreds and the tongues and the nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half. All right. So wherever this is taking place, right, it said he's going to make war against the two witnesses and he's going to kill them. And they're going to be in the streets, dead bodies in the streets 3 days and a half in this location. All right. Spiritual Sodom, spiritual Egypt, where also our Adonai was crucified. So we have to consider this 3 days and a half. What does this 3 days and a half represent? Some people might say this represents the time frame of, you know, how long we've been afflicted in all of these nations, you know, from the time of what is it? What was it, Brother Kadar? What
Time 70 AD
70 AD?
to now, which add up to be 1,952 years. Now, if you go back from the Assyrian captivity, which you looking at 725 BC, and you can add that to that. Let me do it right now, matter of fact.
So basically, a lot of people will say that the 3 days and a half represents all of the affliction that the nations put us through from the time of 70 AD to now. But what Brother Kadar is basically saying, if you add the time frame from 70 AD till now, you won't even come up with 2,000 years.
Now, if you go back to 75 BC, when the Assyrian captivity ran that range, up to now, you get 2,677. So to get 3,500 years, man, you got almost another 1,000 years. I pray that ain't the truth.
Right. So in other words, what I'm saying is this 3 days and a half that we're looking at in verse 9, a lot of people will look at that, how people say a day with the Most High is 1,000 years. So this is 3,000 and 500 years right here in verse 9, if that's the case. But when you add the time frame of, like Brother Kadar said, even from the Assyrian captivity of the northern kingdom, all the way down to 70 AD up to now, you still don't have 3,000 years, let alone 3,500 years. Still have almost 1,000-year difference. So this 3 days and a half has to represent something else. I want you to consider something. Notice in verse 11, we started at verse 3. It says, and I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. All right. So a lot of people might say the two olive trees represents the northern and the southern kingdom. You know, and they'll tie the precepts with that, showing the two olive trees coming back together into one branch, you know, which in that case, they wouldn't be two anymore if they bringing them back together. This is a time frame where that should have already been done according to what we bring out and what we establish in the New Testament. We know that the Most High going to bring the two kingdoms back together in the future. But these two olive trees, if you look at, I think it's Zechariah, the 4th chapter. What was that what we read, Brother Kadar? You remember that? I forget where it is right off the top. Somebody in the chat might remember. I think it's
Zechariah, the 4th chapter.
Is that it?
I think so. Let me go to it right now.
And around verse 11. But also, while he's looking that up, consider this time frame as well. I want you to consider two things out of this: the time frame of 1,203 score days, and I also want you to consider that these two olive trees, these two candlesticks, they're standing before the Elohim of the earth. Now, real quick, somebody let me know. Excuse me.
I got it right here.
Who was the earth given into the hands of, according to the scripture? What you got, Brother Kadar?
As Zechariah 4:11 says, then answered I and said unto him, what are these two olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof? And he answered again and said unto him, what be these two olive branches which through drove the two golden pipes empty and the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered me and said, knowest thou not what these be? I said, no, my Lord. Then said he, these are the two anointed ones that stand before the Lord of the whole earth. As a pinpoint, he said two anointed ones. He didn't say two tribes. Two anointed ones is standing for the Lord of this earth. Wow.
That was 4 and
I read
14.
11 to 14. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we look at this, Revelations 11 said that it was two olive trees, right? Upon the right side of the candlestick and upon the left side thereof. He said it was two olive trees and two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth, same as it says here. This says these are the two anointed ones, right? Speaking of two individuals. If this was speaking of the southern and the northern kingdom, it would have read differently. This is identifying with two specific individuals, but it calls them the two olive trees as well. And it calls them the candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the whole earth. Let's go back to Revelations real quick. I'm going to leave that there. Revelations 11. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the Elohim of the earth. Now, real quick, let's go down to verse 13. So after the two witnesses do what they do, they're killed in the street, taken up in the cloud, all of that good stuff, right? We in 13. It says, in the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell in the earthquake, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. So the two witnesses in verse 4 are dealing with the Elohim of the earth. And once they go through what they go through with the Elohim of the earth, and we're going to show you in another text who this Elohim of the earth is, because we know who the earth is given into the hands of. After the two witnesses encounter the Elohim of the earth, after they're slain in the street and they're called up in the clouds, which we can show you all of this is one event, like Brother Kadar said. At that point, in that same hour, there's a great earthquake. 10th part of the city fell, and the earthquake were slain 7,000 men, and the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. So they're afraid and they start praising the Elohim of heaven. But up here, the two witnesses encountered the Elohim of the earth. So who are we dealing with? You want to chime in, Brother Kadar?
Yeah, this right here is, I wouldn't say a mimic, but we know things that happened before happens again when it comes to Israel and the Most High Yah. So when we go, if you go to Exodus chapter 7, I can just go there myself and read it. Exodus chapter 7, and I'm going to read verse 8 through 13. And it reads, "And the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, Show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, Take the rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent." So at that time, the God of what you call Egypt was, the pharaohs. So what was he doing? He was showing his power. And the same thing that he did there, we know what happened after that. All the plagues he brought forth, the same thing he did with Moses and Aaron, he's going to do the exact same thing here. And this is why, even though Moses and Aaron didn't get killed, but these two prophets is going to get killed. And the last thing, what he going to do? He gonna rise them up from the grave, from their death, and from the streets. This showed the power of the Most High. To who? To the God of this earth and to the God of that Egyptian area where we was in at that time. It's sort of close, almost identical.
That's strong right there, bro, what you just brought out, because that's something I didn't even think about. When the Most High was dealing with Moses and Aaron, with them standing before Pharaoh, Pharaoh was the God of the earth. That's who people recognize as God in the earth during that time. Not saying that he's God in my acknowledgement, but that's, how it was back then. And even when you look at now, Caesar, there is no God but Caesar. That's the Roman thing. And that's pretty much where we are now. But that's a strong example right there. Look at we mentioned 1,203 score days, right? So remember that time frame, 1,203 score days. Also remember the 3 days and a half as well. We're gonna come back to this, see what that's about. But this 1,203 score days is when the two witnesses will be prophesying. And it says, if any man will hurt them, fire proceeded out of their mouth and devoured their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut up heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over the waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. So these two witnesses are basically going to have the same power, the power of the Most High in the earth, because these are the things that the Most High do. He did these things. He turned the water to blood. He smites the earth with plagues. He stops the rain. You know, he'll just like in the future when we get into the kingdom, he said the nations that don't serve us, he gonna cause it not to rain in those nations. They shall receive no rain. These two witnesses are going to have that same power. Let's see about this 1,203 score days. We're going to go to the 12th chapter. All right. So this is the 12th chapter. Let me see. I'm going to read into the 12th chapter. The start at 12 says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in the cloud, and their enemies beheld them. In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the Elohim of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. So what time period is this? Right after the two witnesses are called up in the clouds, there's a great earthquake in the city. People start to praise the Elohim of heaven. And now the angel is saying the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. This is during the Mashiach's reign. Right after a certain period that we're going to read into, it says, and the 24 elders which sat before Elohim on their seats fell upon their faces and worshiped Elohim, saying, we give thee thanks, O Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, which art and was and art to come. Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, who art and was and art to come. We're going to deal with this too at another discussion. Just putting that out there. Because thou hast taken to thee thy great power and has reigned, and the nations were angry at thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged. So this is when the judgment of the nations. What happens after the judgment of the nations? All the nations become subject to the Most High and his people. The nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time is dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And the temple of Elohim was opened in the heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his covenant, and there were lightnings and voices and thunderings, and an earthquake and great hail. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. That's what happened when the Mashiach was born. They was trying to kill him. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. Her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. So what he's seeing now is another event that is leading back up to what he just saw in chapter 11, where we read from, and that's what I'm going to show you. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had there a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she had a place prepared of Elohim that they should feed her there 1,203 score days. 1,203 score days is the same amount of time that we read in verse 11 and 3. I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 score days.
Now, I'm going to cut you off, but that makes, when you said that, it just came to mind. If people believe that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom is the witness, that means that you got to find a number that shows 3,500, 3,000 and a half years. Also, you got to show a number where Israel has ran into the wilderness 3,000 and a half years. You won't find that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that you run into. When I used to sort of lean to that, but when you look at the numbers, it don't add up. Just like when we was in Egypt, we don't add up to be in Egypt 430 years or 400 years. So when you look at numbers, it don't add up. We have to tell the truth.
It doesn't add up when you try to where brother Yasha, I sent him the link. Is that him trying to chime him in? Hold on.
Oh, darn, I ain't even changed my thing. But yeah, hey, shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom, what's going on, brother Yash?
Ain't nothing, man.
Yash, what you got on there? You got a...
You mad at me? Nah,
that was... Were you a Muslim?
Nah, that's Don King right there.
Okay.
I'm the little dude. That was on my birthday, like maybe I think in 2012 sometime, man. I was in New York. But anyway, maybe before that. But what was that? You know what? That scripture would suggest that you'd be two places at the same time. Because how can you be in the wilderness and also at the same time prophesying in Jerusalem? See,
well, I think they trying to say what people to use that prophecy, brother Yash, saying in the course of after 70 AD, the way we've been killed all the way up to now, which the numbers don't add up.
Nah. Even then, because even then, that was more than 1,000. That would then that would be more than 1,260 years. You know, it's give or take. Even if you took give or take 500, because 500 years is supposed to be missing, it would still be up to 1,500 years. So no matter what you do, those numbers are not going to add up. I mean, the other issues and other points that they bring up, they do sound good. But at the end of the day, we are too separated and divided as a people because we're a leaderless nation. So we're living right now like the time, like the ending of the book of Judges. It says, and there was no king in Israel, and everyone did what was right in his own eyes. What better word can I say? I got to go back to church when they used to say, God ain't gonna bless your mess. You think He's gonna bless this mess? Now I do believe that not only do I believe that He's going to give us power, I believe that we do have the power. But as far as this, I just believe that it's two distinct people. He said these two prophets. He didn't say these two kingdoms.
Mm-hmm. And that was one of my other points with that. I'm glad you mentioned that. It's a lot of things to show you that this is dealing with two individuals. Also, when you deal with the Dead Sea Scrolls, which we bring out when it talks about the end time, it talks about the southern kingdom, Judah being in the wilderness, how the Most High is going to establish his armies. And we know when we look at prophecy, that lines up with the tents of Judah being saved first. Now think about that. That's what is that? Where it says the tents of Judah. That's Zechariah, I believe, 12, where it tells you, let me get it real quick. It says, the Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah, right? Because who want to be around these niggas, right? We show up somewhere and everybody else automatically feel like they above us, you know? And so for that purpose, the Most High said he gonna deliver the tents of Judah first. But think about that concept of what we're reading in Revelations 12. Who is this woman going into the wilderness that's prepared for her? Where it says in verse 6, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she had there a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. But it mentions the woman with the 12 stars, clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. Right? But the tents of Judah shall be saved first. When we go into the wilderness in prophecy, it talks about the wilderness being prepared. So I think that ties with this when it talks about the woman. But then notice the time frame, 1,260 days. That's the same time or the same amount of time that the witnesses are going to be doing what they're doing in the earth. Most people would agree that this is not two separate time frames. This is whenever this is going on that we're reading in Revelations 12, that's the same time that this is going on. We read in Revelations 11 with the two witnesses. Revelations 12 and let me show you, because Brother Kadar is making some powerful connections with the Exodus in Egypt and with what we're dealing with today. This is Revelations 12 and 12. I'm gonna start at 13. It says that when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man child. Same one right here, right? The man child. He persecuted the woman that brought forth the man child. So this should let you know that all these nations that Satan is over, that this is their purpose. This is what Psalms 83 is telling you about. This is how he persecuted us. It says, and the woman gave, and to the woman were given two wings of a great eagle, bringing you out on eagle's wings, just like in the Exodus, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. So over here we see 1,260 days. Right here we see times and a half a time.
Yeah, but stop right there, where it's also the woman is being nourished away from the face of the serpent.
Exactly.
But the witnesses are in the face, prophesying in the face of the serpent.
Exactly. Same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a serpent, dragon, God of the earth. It's a connection.
Yes, it is. Allah, you think we're gonna get killed for 3 years the whole nation of Israel. 3 days, and rise up in 3 days, and then go in the wilderness. But it said come up hither, so it don't make sense. Exactly right. It's a connection there. Y'all got it right on point. I just can't see that. But the inner part of this video is going to completely destroy all matters of who are the two witnesses, y'all.
Watch this. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as the flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman and opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. So another connection, right? What happened during the first Exodus when Pharaoh let the people go? Once he let them go, his officers pretty much told him, you let our free slave labor base go. You let the servants go. You messed up the money, basically. So what did he do?
Came after us.
He came after him with a flood of soldiers. And they pursued the children of Israel through the sea. And what the Most High do, he drowned them out. The earth helped the woman.
Almost the same thing, man.
You know what? And actually, I've read. I've come to understand, or to me, I've been reading Revelations as an overall picture. Like most people read it as a chronological series of events, but I look at it. I've started looking at it. Not started, but I've done it for the past few years now. Looking at it as a series of chronological events that have happened over time. And sometimes it's going forward and sometimes it's going backwards. And we're seeing the whole picture of our redemption, from Egypt and things that happened. Because if I've read a lot of books, and you know how Christianity teaches us, oh, you're going to go through this, they're going to make a thing, and this beast and this false prophet going to arise on the scene. But the beast and the false prophet has been arising on the scene ever since after the Messiah left. That's why John said that there's many antichrists. He said, you've heard about antichrist, and it's even them, they even here now. They enforced the mark of the beast back in the time of the Apostle John, and all sorts of things. I should. Well, while y'all do this, I might go grab my book of Fox's Book of Mortis, and I'll read one of those events. So I've seen a series of these events happening to let me know. I was like, wow, this we have to take another look at how we apply our understanding to the book of Revelations, or at least I do.
That'll be some good info to bring out. Then we see the connection. We see the connection between the first Exodus and what we're reading about here in Revelations 12. All right. Same thing.
Yeah.
Same sequence, same indication. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was saying the same thing. Even in 2 Kings 2, verse 8 reads, Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters, and they were divided hither and there, so that they too went over on dry ground. This dude had that much power. How it said he's going to dry up the heavens so it wouldn't rain. We see Elijah having that power right here. And it almost sound like when the Most High part of the Red Sea right here in 2 Kings 2 and 8. So we see that the same thing that happened, like you were saying, it's happening again, but it's on a broader schedule area, because we're not just in one spot like we was in Egypt. We all over the world.
Right. It's happening on a larger scale.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that 2 Kings 2:8, man, because what I want to do before we get into what you was mentioning, let's look at what happened to Elijah.
Okay.
And then we're gonna look at what happened to Enoch. All right. Because we know according to Hebrews, Enoch was translated. In the book of Genesis, it tells us that Enoch was taken, that the Most High took him. All right. This is 2 Kings chapter 2. It says, and it came to pass when the Most High Yahweh would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha to Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry ye here, I pray thee, for Yahweh has sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as Yahweh liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. So I just wanted to read this. Elijah was taken up in the whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, where is it? This is where Brother Kadar was. Right here. I'm going to start at verse 10. He said, thou ask a hard thing, nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, right? He's going to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
It shall be so unto thee, but if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. All right.
Mm-hmm. So that part right there, and he's talking to Elijah. Elijah is asking, hey, can you bless me with their power? He said, if you see me go up in his whirlwind, you'll get the power. Basically what he's saying to Elisha. He's saying, you see me, then you'll get the power. If you don't, you won't get it. It's basically what he's saying.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
But Elijah was taken up in the whirlwind, right? Let's look at what happened to Enoch. It says, this is the book of Jasher. This is, what chapter is this? Chapter 3. Book of Jasher, chapter 3. Elijah was taken up in the whirlwind by chariots of fire and horses. Let's look at what happened to Enoch. It says, and the day came when Enoch went forth, and they all assembled and came to him. And Enoch spoke to them the words of the Lord, and he taught them wisdom and knowledge. And they bowed down before him, and they said, may the king live, may the king live. So Enoch was a king during this time. The peoples and the nations made him king over them because of his righteousness. It says, and in some time after, when the kings and princes and the sons of men were speaking to Enoch, and Enoch was teaching them the ways of God, behold, an angel of the Lord then called unto Enoch from heaven, and wished to bring him up to heaven, to make him reign over the sons of Elohim, as he had reigned over the sons of men on the earth. So the angels called unto him because the Most High wanted him to reign over the sons of the Most High in heaven, or the angels, basically. And at that time, Enoch heard this. He went and assembled all the inhabitants of the earth and taught them wisdom and knowledge and gave them divine instructions. And he said to them, I have been required to ascend into heaven. I therefore do not know the day of my going. And now therefore I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you, how to act upon the earth whereby ye may live and do so. So let's skip down. Skip down. Let me see. Let's skip down. Because this is a lot. It says, did I pass it? Speaking with them. Okay, here it is. So basically, he told them he was going into the heavens. And when it was time for him to go, they didn't want him to go. So they followed him to the place where he was supposed to have been taken up. He was telling them to go back. But of course, they ain't listen. They ain't want to go back. And so it says, I'm going to start at verse 35. And they urged so much to go with him that he ceased speaking to them. And they went after him and would not return. And when the kings returned, they caused a census to be taken in order to know the number of remaining men that went with Enoch. And it was upon the seventh day that Enoch ascended into the heaven in a whirlwind with horses and chariots of fire. Right? Where was that at? When Elijah was taken up, he was taken up in a chariot of fire, and horses of fire, right? And then it says, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Same thing that happened with Enoch. He was taken up on the seventh day, ascended up into heaven in a whirlwind with horses and chariots of fire. So now let's go back to Revelations 11. It says concerning the two witnesses that they're going to prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. All right. Let's skip down. In verse 7, it says, and when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war with them and shall overcome them and kill them. And their bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Adonai was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because of these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Elohim entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So this time when they ascend up, they're going to ascend in a cloud, right? When Mashiach returns, that's going to be the resurrection, right? During the return of Mashiach. Y'all there? Or did I put y'all to sleep?
Nah, we there.
When Mashiach returned,
Yeah, we are.
is that the time of the resurrection?
Yes, it goes along with Ezekiel 37.
Ascending in a cloud. Give me a second. What is that? I think that's First Thessalonians. Give me a second. Let me look this up. Y'all chop it up real quick. Let me find this passage. But what I want y'all to remember, because what we're about to get into now, just remember real quick.
I was going to tell you, First Thessalonians chapter 4. You want to get right into it, start at verse 15. But just First Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13, 14, 15, all the way to 17.
First Thessalonians 4.
Start at verse 13 on down.
It says, but I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if ye believe in Yahushua, if you believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Elohim bring with him. So we talking about those who are asleep, who the Most High gonna raise up. It says, for this we say unto you by the word of Adonai, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of Adonai shall not prevent them which are asleep. For Adonai himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead and Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. They're going to be caught up together, saying that those of us who are fortunate enough to still be alive when Mashiach return, we're not going to prevent them which sleep. But when Mashiach return, he's going to descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Elohim. And it says the dead and Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them. With who? With the dead and Mashiach. They're going to be caught up together with them in the clouds, right? They're going to be caught up together with them in the clouds when they hear the voice or the shout, right? Revelations 11 again. Excuse me. Revelations 11 again. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of Elohim entered into them, and they stood on their feet, the dead and Mashiach, right? The dead and Mashiach rising, and great fear fell upon them which saw them, and they heard a voice from heaven saying, come up hither. The voice of the archangel, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. Same as First Thessalonians 4, ascending up to heaven in the cloud. When Mashiach comes down with the voice of an archangel and with the trump of the Most High, this is when the two witnesses gonna rise up. This is what they're basically adhering to when you read First Thessalonians chapter 4, the same thing. When they hear that voice, the dead in Christ gonna rise up. They're among that. Those which alive and remain are going to be caught up with them in the cloud, right?
Right. And Hamashiach demonstrate that when he said Lazarus, when he called Lazarus. This is a demonstration he did when he walked the earth.
Many examples all through the scripture. Now, remember the 3.5 days. Remember all this, right? We established that these two witnesses are two individuals. Now, let's go into the gospel of Nicodemus.
Hold up. Before we go there, let's read Ezekiel 37. Start at verse 1. They got to read the whole thing. Because Ezekiel 37, I think, plays the same part with this too. I think it's all the same event. Somebody, Fatima, asked a question about that with the people that already died. So,
where you want to start?
Verse 1. All right. The hand of Yahweh was upon me. This is Ezekiel 37, verse 1. hand of Yahweh was upon me, carried me in the ruach of Yahweh, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there was very many in the open valley, and lo, there was and they were very dry. And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answer, Oh Lord, Adonai Elohim, thou knowest. Again, he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. And thus said the Adonai Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter into you, and ye shall live. Now I'm going there. I didn't want to read the whole thing. To saying that the same thing, I think this is the same event that's happening here, right? So of course I'm pretty sure a lot of us on this chat, I know y'all know the whole story of the dry bones. Now, when we read this and when we look at what happened in Revelation 11, that's First Thessalonians 4, and when we look at here, same event. We got the Most High is calling them up. He says, prophesy on these dry bones. He's giving Ezekiel a prophecy. He's calling them up. Remember, he's giving Ezekiel prophecy. When he read this, when he is, writing this, and when he's seeing what he's seeing. Actually, it's like what happened in Thessalonians. The Hamashiach is calling them. Come up here. Or, he come with the archangel, with the trumpet of the archangel. It's all the same intent when you
Yeah, that Ezekiel 37 is a good lineup. A lot of people also use this to represent the nations in general and the condition that we in as people. Being in a dead state and us rising up as a people. But that's a good lineup.
Yeah, they do. But if you keep reading, he says, "I will bring them out of their graves." I actually believe what's wrong with their graves.
Yep. And I got a precept to go with that too. In Second Esdras, to line up with what you're saying too. What you got, brother Yash?
I was also had a precept for it in the one to line up with Thessalonians, where it said, "Shall be caught up to meet them with the air," and that's Isaiah 68. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. We just we dealt with that precept.
Yeah.
First Thessalonians.
Right.
Because all that when you read Revelations 11 about the two witnesses being dead in the streets and then rising up, that's all one event. That's the return of Mashiach. When it says that after the 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Elohim came back into them, and they heard a voice from the cloud saying, "Come up hither," and they ascended up in the cloud. It's the same thing that you're reading in First Thessalonians chapter 4. Same event, same timing. You want to go into that source now, Brother Kadar?
Y'all, this is the grand finale. This right here is the source he's gonna go into. It's a precept to Revelation 11, to what Zechariah 4, and to Ezekiel. Well, Revelation 11, Zechariah 4. Two precepts that he's gonna go into in this event. This is the grand finale, and the only way somebody's gonna discredit it if they don't believe in the book of Nicodemus.
Exactly. And it's all lining up, you know, when you read the rest of that chapter. And this is a strong precept too. Mighty line, Malachi 4. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. So we know when the day of the Lord comes, what's happening? He getting ready to really break things down. He finna bring judgment on the nations.
And that's the reason why um the disciples said, why does the scripture say Elijah must come first? Because see, they was waiting on uh the return of Elijah the prophet. However, the Messiah told him at that time, that's why he said, if you're able to receive this, because there was a forerunner to him. His first, it was his first time that his first forerunner was John the Baptist. However, we don't have no John the Baptist now. If anything, we are the John the Baptists rather
Matthew,
than the two witnesses.
you talking about
We
Matthew
are the
14?
forerunners. Exactly. We are the forerunners. But truly, I believe Elijah, and according to Enoch chapter 90, Enoch, I believe them two is coming.
This is a good one too. Jude and Enoch also, the seven from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, behold, the Lord cometh when 10,000s of his saints. That lines up with the return of Mashiach when it talks about his return. So when he returns, it said he's going to descend from the heaven, right, in a cloud. And when he
Jude
calls
1,
up the dead, huh?
Jude, talking about Jude 1, 14 and 15. We're talking about Enoch. Okay.
Yeah. So Enoch, he's saying Enoch prophesied of these things. So the Mashiach going to return with 10,000s of his saints, right, in a cloud. He going to call up the dead in Christ, and those who are alive and remain in Mashiach, who believed on Mashiach, going to send up with the dead in Christ in the clouds. So shall they ever be with the Most High, because when he returns, he's coming back to establish his kingdom in Zion. Y'all got anything else? I'm gonna go to now. This is Nicodemus. What Nicodemus is the account of Nicodemus from the New Testament or from the Gospels. What this account details is the trial of Mashiach, what took place when he gave up the ghost, and it goes into details and those things, letting you know exactly what happened when the New Testament talks about when Mashiach gave up the ghost, how everybody seen the saints walking around. They had came out of their graves. It goes into detail about that, but it talks about when the Most High descended down into Sheol to deliver up the saints from Adam and all the righteous prophets and everybody, talking about the sons of Adam, the Israelites. But then it's going to give us some information on who the two witnesses are. Remember everything we read in Revelations, all right? One of the first things Mashiach did when he went down into Sheol, according to this account, was he brought up Adam being the first man. And from Adam, all through the prophets, through King David, everybody followed Adam up into paradise. And so it says, Yehoshua holding the hand of Adam, delivered him unto Michael, the great prince, Michael the angel, the archangel. And all the saints followed Michael, the great prince, and he brought them all into the glory and grace of the Garden of Eden, or into paradise. And there met with them two men, ancients of days. And when they were asked of the saints, who are ye that have not yet been dead in hell with us, and are set in the Garden of Eden in the body? Then one of them answering said, I am Enoch, which was translated hither by the word of Yahuwah. And this that is with me is Elijah, the Tishbite, which was taken up in a chariot of fire. And upon this day we have not tasted death, but we are received unto the coming of anti-Mashiach, to fight against him with signs and wonders of Elohim, and to be slain of him in Jerusalem, and to be slain of him in Jerusalem. And after 3 days and a half, to be taken up again alive in the clouds. So according to this account, when Mashiach was crucified, he went down into Sheol. And while in Sheol, he brought up Adam, because we know in Sheol is divided into the wicked part, and then you have Abraham's bosom. This is where they were. So he went down there and he brought up Adam. You can, this is a good read, all this information. He brought up Adam and all the righteous saints, and it said he took them up to the Garden of Eden, which is in the third heaven. I got other passages to prove that as well. The Apostle Paul said, I knew a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I know not. Such a man was caught up to the third heaven. So whether in the body or out of the body, I know not. Such a one was caught up to the third heaven. In my mind, I think he may have met Enoch or Elijah, is what he's saying, but he didn't know who they were. But they were caught up to the third heaven. The third heaven is where the Garden of Eden of paradise is. When Mashiach told a thief that was on the cross, he said, verily, verily, I say unto you, this day shall you be with me in paradise. This is what he was talking about. So when he brought all the saints up here to tell you who they were, the prophets from Habakkuk to Micah to King David to Adam, so forth and so on, right? Names a lot of them, but they all followed Adam and Michael, the great prince, into paradise. And when they got there, they saw two men already there. Remember, I showed you Enoch was taken up into the Garden of Eden. And it says there he records all the events of the earth up until the time of the judgment. Two men were already there. And they asked them who they were. Who are ye that have not yet been dead with us in hell? Meaning in Sheol, because hell, Abraham's bosom was there, and are set in the Garden of Eden in the body, meaning you in your body, but you up here, but you haven't died, because the process to get there is that you die. All of them died, and they went into Sheol, and from Sheol, they were put up into paradise after the Mashiach's resurrection. They get there and they see two men, and they like, whoa, who are these two dudes who haven't been where we were? They haven't died, and they still in the body. Right? The Apostle Paul said, I knew a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I know not. Such a one was caught up to the third heaven. Then one of them answering said, I am Enoch, which was translated hither by the word of Elohim. And this that is with me is Elijah the Tishbite, which was taken up in a chariot. And up to this day, we have not tasted death. That's why they there in the body. According to Enoch, one of y'all can get that for me. Enoch, I think it's Hebrews, the 11th chapter, where it talk about Enoch. And then it says, they have not tasted death, but we are received unto the coming of anti-Mashiach, to fight against him, the God of the earth. to fight against him with signs and wonders of Elohim, all the plagues and the stopping the rain and turning the water to blood in Revelations 11, and to be slain of him in Jerusalem, where Mashiach was crucified. Right? And to be slain of him in Jerusalem, and after 3 days and a half to be taken up again alive into the clouds. Come up hither, according to Revelations 11. After 3 days and a half, the breath of the Elohim entered into them, and they heard a voice saying, come up hither. And they ascended up into the clouds, and everybody who saw it was afraid. Then after that, the judgments came. Mashiach returned. His kingdom is established on the earth. Any input?
Enoch, Hebrews 11, verse 5. By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he would not see death, and he was not found because God took him up. For because he was taken up, he was attested to have men pleasing to Yah.
So by faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death. What did he say right there? He said, I'm Enoch, and this is Elijah, which was taken up in a chariot of fire, and up to this day we have not tasted death. Hebrews 11 and 5. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. So who are the two witnesses?
Not only that, when Enoch was taken up, he was given the job of recording the deeds of men, all the deeds of men unto the end of time. If he's recording all the deeds of men, that qualifies him to be a witness, because he's witnessing all the events from the beginning, from the beginning of the days of his testimony, all the way to the end of time. A witness is someone who's, they got expert witnesses, people who can and expert witnesses, they do a testimony because they have an expertise in that subject. But he is both expert witness and eyewitness.
Check this out. It says, and he was taken up from amongst the children of men, and we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor, and behold, there he writeth down the condemnation and judgment of the world, and all the wickedness of the children of men. Just like you just said, the expert witness. That's what he's up there doing. Recording.
She'll be all right.
It says, and on account of it, God brought the waters of the flood and upon all the land of Eden, and there was set a sign that he should testify against all the children of men, that he should recount all the deeds of the generations until the day of condemnation. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a whole lot right there, Brother Liar. That's a lot of reading. That's a good one too. Goes into the judgments. When the Mashiach return, what the judgment gonna be like? What y'all think, man? I know I'm missing something. I gotta be missing something. I'm sure somebody gonna say I'm missing something.
You're not missing it. I mean, it's right there. I don't know what else you need, but this is a testimony that tells who the true witness is, especially Enoch and Elijah. But we went through all the scripture, even in the 66 books, basically proving within before we got here that we didn't put no spirituality on it. We said, hey y'all, let's spiritualize this. We didn't have to do none of that. All we did is went to the scriptures and it proves who the truth. We know it's two witnesses. There's not no northern southern kingdom and northern kingdom. The only way you can put that in there, you got to put spirituality on it. There's no way you're gonna get 3,500 some days. You just won't get that. So one thing I would say to the audience is y'all can, study, show yourself approval, but remember, 3,500 some days. You ain't gonna get that. You can get 3 years. You can get 3 days. That's it.
I mean, when you in that context, that principle of a day being 1,000 years doesn't apply within that particular context. You're talking about 3.5 literal days of the two witnesses being in the street, laying dead. It said that they suffer not their dead bodies to be put in graves.
So that means they lay down for 3,500 some years. 3,500 or 3,000 and a half, whatever. So that's why when you do that math, it sort of don't make sense. I understand what the brothers and sisters that believe that they saying we've been killed daily all over the world. I understand that, but when you do the math, where do you start counting that? It don't make sense.
I mean, I don't know. I'm convinced that Enoch and Elijah are the two witnesses. Revelations 12 talk about the woman going into the wilderness, right? Lining up with Ezekiel 20.
Exactly. This is a lineup, y'all. This is very important. And I pray and I hope that we are on point. Because if we're on point, not to say we boasting ourselves up, we just read the scriptures. Our redemption is near. This is something we got to look at. But when you look at the two kingdoms that's been there, we got another 1,000, 1,500 years. I don't want to wait that long. I don't care if I die tomorrow. I still don't want to wait that long.
I mean, that's a lot to have to deal with, man. Because 3.5 days, right? You're talking about 3,500 years, if that's what you want to stamp on it. There's no way to account for that. No way to account for that. Ain't no way at all to account for that from the time both the southern and the northern kingdom were removed from the land to now. While we're in the wilderness, that also lines up with prophecy. Because while we're in the wilderness, what's going to be happening around the rest of the world? You're going to have chaos. You're going to have destruction. You're going to have all kind of stuff going on around the world. It's already getting bad now, but, compared to where things are heading prophetically, it's going to be a rough time. People can still sort of live their life now, even though it's getting harder and harder. People still enjoying things and enjoying luxuries and, doing this and doing that. It's going to come a time where all that's going to be shut down. And everything going to be subject to the powers that be, whether it's your money, your food, your water. And it's going to be subject to them in a way to where if you don't conform, you're not going to be able to access those things. Those things are subject to them now. But when this happens, it's going to be in a way to where you can't have those things unless you conform to what they want you to conform to. So people are going to have a lot of hard choices to make. is during this time. That lines up with Daniel's as well, where it talks about during this time when the beast set up his kingdom, there's going to be another kingdom set up that should stand forever. Where is that at? Is that in Daniel?
Yeah, I think it's in Daniel 12. Let me look it up. Or Daniel 11.
Daniel 7.
7, okay.
Daniel 7:20 stuff there.
Where is it? I'm gonna pull it up.
Daniel chapter 7:20.
That was Daniel 7:20. So during the time when the anti-Mashiach, the God of the earth, is setting up his kingdom, another kingdom is going to be established. Right? Let me pull it up. It says Daniel 7:20, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints and of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom, and the fourth, and possessed the kingdom. He said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it down in pieces. And the 10 horns of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Let me skip down. I wanted the one where it talks about at the same time when
You're getting close.
Okay. It says, and he spake great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a times, and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, that they shall take away his dominion, and consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. So letting you know, this is letting you know that during the time when this other kingdom is set up, that another kingdom is going to be established.
Mm-hmm.
It says, in the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven. Hold up. It was this one part I wanted to touch real quick. Right here. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand, until a times, and the dividing of times. All right, so real quick, if we go back to Revelations 12. Revelations 12. It says, and to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth. Let me underline that. For times and a half a time. Same thing is mentioning over here. They should be given into his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of time. Times and a half a time. And the serpent cast out his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wrought with the woman. Right. He mad at the woman that got away and went and made war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yehoshua HaMashiach. So for a time and a half a time, which is the same time them two witnesses are dealing with him, it says that he's going to make war with the saints, right? The ones that, what it said, the remnant of her seed. He's going to turn and make war with the remnant of her seed. So the tents of Judah shall be saved first, right? Which we know that's speaking of Babylon. The 400-year prophecy lines up with this as well. So after this deliverance, we're going to go into the wilderness, and this is when the whole earth going to face persecution under that kingdom, while the Most High is establishing his kingdom at the same time.
That's right. It's great, man. This is like a puzzle, man.
Brother Yash, you there? Brother Yash be going to sleep on this.
Nah, I ain't sleeping, brother.
Don't be shy.
I had no slavery today. I'm going tomorrow. So
don't be shy, brother, y'all.
Nah, yeah, like you say, at this time that's happening, while see, and that's what I was gonna say. When we're going, or when they take us out of here, what he said, he's gonna persecute them. They're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to do some certain things. I was thinking that all that's gonna be the purpose that since we're out of here, to keep them from coming after us, not coming after us in a bad way. Remember, it says the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and it also says that they shall come to thee bearing gifts, and they shall bring your children on their shoulders. So I believe that all this is happening to stop them from coming and bowing and bending knee unto our people, and the witnesses, and to stop them from saying, truly, these were the people of the Most High. When they see us go, and they see our great and how the Most High great and mightily delivers us, and to stop all that, they have their kingdom, they have their thing, in which they're doing even right now with all right now behind the scenes. That's why we get all this junk news and all this stuff going on, and this all this BS and this war going on with Russia and everything. This is all a part of the Most High setting up his kingdom, or preparing it for us. He's weakening the Gentiles and getting ready to take us to our place. But like I say, at that time, when they see how great and mightily we are delivered from here, when they see that all the gold and everything else is going with us, they're going to have to quickly, and that's why I believe they're trying to establish that even now, with raising up the interest rates and all this other stuff. They're trying to get the people ready for some hard times. And they're going to have to come up with a whole new system. And in order to, and I'm sounding like Teo now, because I don't like that. He be having all these speculations. But at the end of the day, I see us going, but we took everything. And they have to start all over, which they're working on at that time. Our kingdom is being we're learning in our 3.5 years. Our kingdom is being built up simultaneously with their reconstruction, and they're gonna have to clamp down to keep their people at that time from coming and bending knee and coming over to us to become our servants to save themselves. That's just a thought.
Yeah, it makes sense though. Considering, I mean, that's natural. Everybody would automatically want to go where all the wealth is. You know,
Because it says,
that's one of the reasons everybody came to America.
yeah, what is it? I think it's in Isaiah 56. At that time, my servants shall, or maybe 65, whatever, my servants shall eat, and you shall be hungry. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So we gonna be eating, you know.
that lines up with Second Ezra's 9. We're gonna bring that out. Matter of fact, keep speaking on that thought. I'm gonna bring that up right now.
Yeah, but that's basically what it is, because we've been taught wrong in Christianity and all these other worldly ideals, because their ideals came up without even considering us. We wasn't even part of the plan. They really had an all white heaven prepared for themselves. Maybe one or two of us, somebody.
Hey, hey, brother Yash,
Yeah.
that's that country coming. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that you know what I mean. Somebody gonna be at the door. We need one of y'all. We need somebody to take out the trash. But they ain't gonna. They ain't had us. We was never in their plan. And I believe when the witnesses is here, that's the days of their testimony, testifying of all the crap that y'all was doing unto us. See, they don't want to listen to us. You know what I mean? When we come up with it and we start reading them their rights and really telling them the truth about their nasty selves, they call that whatever. What do they call that junk?
Reverse racism.
Nah, yeah, not even reverse racism. What that new junk they call in school that they take it out the books whatever the hell.
Race
critical race
theory.
You know, yeah, because we hitting them critically. So they're going to get critical race theory shoved down their throats for 3.5 daggone years, and they ain't going to be able to escape. And he going right in the heart of the land or the beast people. See, don't think of the beast and the false prophet. I mean, they're listen. They're people. They're people, and they have a system. And he going right into their land, and every single one of them is going to hear this. Every single one of them.
Watch this, brother Yash. It say this Second Ezra chapter 2, 24 said, "Abide, O still, my people, and take thy rest, for thy quietness still come. Nourish thy children, O thou good nurse, establish their feet. As for the servants whom I have given thee, there shall not one of them perish, for I will require them from among thy number. Be not weary, for when a day of trouble in heaven is come, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. The heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, said Yahweh. My hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell. Be joyful, O thou mother of thy children, for I will deliver thee, said Yahweh. Remember thy children that sleep, for I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth, the dry bones, and show mercy unto them, for I am merciful, said Yahweh Almighty." So you got the dry bones, and you got the time of deliverance being referenced right here in Second Ezra. He said, "I'm gonna bring them out of the sides of the earth. Remember thy children that sleep, they that sleep in Mashiach." Right?
Yes.
The dead in Christ shall rise first. For I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth and show mercy unto them, for I am merciful, said Yahweh Almighty.
You know, if push comes to shove, it's a whole lot more too. I'm gonna share that. That's a whole lot more. We know the two witnesses too. That's what I was looking at.
Hold up.
Because Yashadik got a whole lot more verse. Me, remember Yashadik? We talked about this.
Yeah, man.
That's whole lot more too. I'm pretty brother Eric got a whole lot more too.
Yeah, he do. But JPN
we gotta do like Daniel, just in case. But I think this is enough to prove that we went to the Apocrypha, Nicodemus. I don't know what else to tell you. If you don't believe the two witnesses is Elijah and Enoch, because to me, if they're not, then that means that somebody wrote a wrong book at this point blank.
Yeah. Jason Philip McCauley just put up that Isaiah 43:9. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled. Who among them can declare this and show us the former thing? Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, it is true. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You got people recording, and we know what Enoch and Elijah is.
Yep. I want to go back real quick to that. And this is the last place I got. I want to go back to that Revelations 11 because I want to reference this one more time to show you after the two witnesses do what they do, right? After the 3.5 days, they're going to be doing what they're doing for 1,203 score days, right? And after that point, once they're done with their testimony, the anti-Mashiach is going to overcome them and kill them in the streets. 3.5 days from that point, this is when they're going to receive the life from the dead again, and they're going to ascend up into the clouds, right? And their enemies beheld them. Now in verse 13, in that same hour, there was a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were frightened and gave glory unto Elohim. So that's an example of how the Most High is going to destroy, make a full end of the nations. But those whom he reserved, it says they gave glory to Elohim. These are the ones that's going to become servants. And it says, the second woe is past, and behold, the third woe coming quickly. And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai. So when Mashiach returns, after these two witnesses wake up and after the dead in Christ comes up, they're going to come down to this earth and destroy a lot of people. And those who remain are going to be subject. And it says, the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. So right after this point, this is when Mashiach is going to come down and sit in his throne in the earth in Jerusalem. It all lines up.
Yeah, I got one that makes me like go. I'm thinking about when the witnesses come. When he causes that great and mighty earthquake. He said he caused a third of the city to fail. I forget. Anyway, it said the remnant were frightened. What if that remnant, or do you think that remnant could possibly be even our people who's over there?
You talking about the in Revelations 12?
Yeah, in Revelation 12.
I do.
You know what I'm saying? He says the remnant were frightened. He didn't say the people. They died.
Mm-hmm. I do.
I believe that because see, they're in that land. And he might leave them in that land as to bear witness to that testimony.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a
So
lot of
many
people think
scenarios.
this is Israel, Yashudi. So a lot of our people are trying to keep the statute laws, commandments, but they think this is Israel, so they're gonna stay.
Oh yeah, well that's on them. That's on them. Because that's on them. If you can see all these mighty miracles and wonders happening, you see all these things the Most High is doing for us. You see us getting on boats. You see people getting taken in the air, flying in the clouds, whatever. You see us a mass exodus from this country, and you decide to stay, saying, I'm not going. The majority of us left, but I'm staying. Then you deserve what you get because this is our land. You deserve what you get. I love my brother. I beg and I plead and I pray for him all the time. But because at that time, at that moment, you're just in the stubbornness and the pride of your own heart. You just don't want to admit that you wrong. Like, put it this way: if it went the way they thought, and he left us here and destroyed everybody else, I'll be satisfied. I'll say, okay, I was wrong. I got it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got it wrong, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what he told me to do. But he said, he says, he told us to wait for that day that he says he's taking us out of here. He says he's taking us into the wilderness.
Yeah.
So I can't understand where the next I can't see where the disconnect is or the misunderstanding is. You know what I mean? We love this land so much, man. Babylon has been nothing but hell for me. It's never been a place where I had fit in.
Yeah.
And I'll be glad to leave this place. You know what I'm saying? It says, and we leave, he says, in there, go with them. We leave and we go. So,
yeah, real talk. Real spill.
So if you
I
can
don't
see all that and stay, more power to you.
I don't see who would have a problem with that.
I don't see anybody.
And it seemed like mostly our own people got a problem with it.
Yeah, yeah, right. Nadia Lodge. Y'all's like, get right or get left.
Right.
She took it to church. Church.
Son Judah in the chat, he say, so then who will be with us in the wilderness? You think they will split us up? This the thing with that. It talks about the tents of Judah being saved first.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So a lot of people say that y'all focusing on America and not focusing on other brothers and sisters. Now we're not, it's not that we're focusing on America. It's just that when you look at Babylon is always the center point. And so we know who Babylon is today. We know who the kingdom is, right? And so when you look at the 400-year prophecy and how that lines up with where we are, that's how we come up with that.
And not only that, it says Babylon, which ought to be destroyed, but we aren't appointed unto destruction.
Yeah. And so that's how we come up with that. When we get in the wilderness, that's where Ezekiel 20 comes in. Let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah, the thing is, when we talk about the wilderness, it's clearly we're gonna have people probably that's waking up Israelites still gonna fall back in the old Christianity ways, eating pork and stuff like that. And we see they're gonna be destroyed. But
they're gonna be eating wild boar.
Yeah. We're gonna see them because he's like, oh man, what you talking about? Just talk stupid and don't really believe. After all what happened, we see what happened when they came out of Egypt. All the miracle, he split the Red Sea. These dummies got in the wilderness. I ain't called them dummies. My forefathers. I'm sorry for that.
No, they were dumb.
Forgive me, y'all. But how you see that miracle and you don't believe?
It was black folk. We get out of there. You see all this miracle. The first thing we did was throw a party. Yeah. Remember, we had the party. They were twerking there.
And you see your son, but he gonna eat that mouse. Yeah, for real. That's what they're gonna do.
I would be the designated thruster.
Yeah.
Who's gonna send the ships?
Golden spear.
Hey, y'all look at my too much for you. Who's gonna send the ships over here to get us? Y'all, of course, he gonna put it in their hearts.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that anyway. I'm hearing a lot about that anyway, about them ships. It says, this is Ezekiel 20. As I live, saith Adonai Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and with fury poured out, will I rule over you, and I will bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness in the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith Adonai Elohim, and I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am Yahuwah. So it mentions countries, right? Think about the countries of Europe, Great Britain. All those nations are confederate. They all one. America is a branch off from Great Britain. And we see all the European nations are suffering as well too. So they could very well be a part of the Exodus as well. Not solidifying that, but that's possible just based on that. You know. But we know America came out of Great Britain. And we see that the Most High is pretty much judging all the European nations. But we know America is Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, America exactly is. America is ruling the world. We know who's behind America ruling the world too. It's not just ruling by itself. So yes,
Yeah.
I agree. That's the daughter of Babylon, most definitely.
Yeah.
It came out of Great Britain. If we look at the history, we'll see why who Rome conquer Spain and Portugal, conquer Great Britain, conquer all of that. You want to know why? Because Jephthah, which is Esau's great grandson, conquered all that. So we see all the establishment been there. A lot of people don't understand how they are connected to Rome. It's very easy, and America is too.
Yeah.
That's why when you read Daniel, he seen 4 beasts, but he see 10 horns, and out of the 10 horns, he see 3 nations fell, and one came up with a little eye, which is America. Wow.
At the end of the day, what we're about to see is the most spectacular series of events that the world has ever known. He says he's going to do us greater than when he took us out of Egypt. Now, when he took us out of Egypt, he gave them their plagues, but he split the Red Sea and they walked over on dry ground. He said, not. He said the ships of the Tarshish is going to come and get us. It said, who are these who fly like doves through the window? So it looks like we're going to come through planes, or it may even be chariots, spaceships, like they say. He say that he's going to split the tongue of the Egyptian sea in 7 places. So we talking about oceans getting split in 7 places. This is the Most High getting his glory back. He's getting his name back. See, because we have done him no favors in this captivity with our shameless behavior. Neither have and they have successfully taken his name from off the face of the earth. They had erased his name out of our holy book. We just getting back to calling him by his name, and we still ain't even really got all that right. But we got it halfway there, but we even got that half right. But we do know that he goes by this. Yah is in his name. At the end of the day, the Most High,
Hallelujah.
He's about to bring the glory back unto himself, and we are just be privy to this party. Not for your sake do I do this. He tell us to be ashamed and confounded for the very things that he did, but he's doing this for his name's sake.
Amen.
So this is going to be spectacular. This is going to be incredible, and I can't wait.
I think it's gonna be in our lifetime, y'all should do. We get
Amen.
close,
I do
I think
too.
we will see it.
I do too. I think so too. I don't know how long. You know, but we at least thank God we got our ancestors up there. They asking how long. They don't even know how long.
No, amen.
But guess what, man? They don't. The number got to be getting close.
Hmm.
The number got to be getting close.
He said, does it say in the Bible that Russia going to play a role in getting us out of America? They just mentioned the ships, but
No. Jeremiah 50. Let me go to Jeremiah 50.
I'm not Zechariah 1. I think it's
Yeah.
Zechariah 1:20.
All right, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Jeremiah 50. I want to hear it because I probably ain't heard it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, while you doing that, I gotta find it real quick, man. But I know, where is it at? See, now I'm looking for it. I'm all excited thinking about you because this is an exciting thing to talk about, man. Because we're all just speculating right now. We're speculating and trying to do all this, but he says because it's the whole thing.
probably
He says,
won't
I'm gonna
around.
raise
Yeah, it
the
is the whole
spirit of the
thing.
needs. It's the whole daggone thing. So daggone it, then you're gonna hear the whole thing then Jeremiah 50 verse 1. Then the word that Yah spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken, Baal is confounded, Murdoch is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her images are broken pieces. For out of the north, Russia is north of us. Russia is right above Canada. Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the north, there comes a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell there. They shall remove. That's the way shall remove. They shall depart, both man and beast. In those days and in that time, saith Yah, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Most High, their Elohim. I'm going to stop right there.
Then you got Zechariah 1 verse 18. Then lift I up my eyes and saw, and behold, four horns, and I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which are scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. Four horns scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. We know, we go back and look at that and look at the four horns, the last four horns. Remember, this is Zechariah. So this is I look at this as the last four horns. Arab slave trade, Spain and Portugal, Great Britain, and America, and Arab slave trade. So that's the four horns I look at, the scattered Judah. There are horns which have scattered Judah and Jerusalem, and the Lord showed me four carpenters. Then said I, what come these to do? And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up their head. We know that happened. But these are come to fray them, to scatter out the horns of the Gentiles, which lift up their horns over the land of who? Israel, to scatter Judah, which is happened in 70 AD all the way up to this day.
Yeah. So you deal.
I think Russia is part of the horn. I think China is. I think Korea, and I think Iran. So yeah.
And notice you're dealing with Judah.
Mm-hmm. Judah.
The tents of Judah.
So y'all should do you on point.
I don't know. I just got happy, man. Just thinking about that. I think I just read myself happy for a second.
You on point. You on point. Tell me, you on point. They from the north, and that's what they doing. And they even got a video out showing they picking saying, hey, America is the one that had black people in slavery. You see that video? I think Tell Ministries the one show that video. They doing a commercial over there. Yeah.
Yeah, but they had bowed down to him. That was
They
crazy.
bowed down to us.
Yeah, they bowed down to us. It was funny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They going back to Russia.
Wow. Wow.
I think it was sarcasm, but at the end of the day, we've seen throughout the history of broadcasting that they've been telling the truth.
Yes.
Through their sarcasm.
And the truth will make you free. Man, this was a great, great lesson. Good God Almighty, this is great.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and conclude it. I'm gonna go live in about another hour or so over on the other channel. But as always, I want to thank all the brothers and sisters in the chat for chiming in and giving their thoughts. Some people may still be convinced that the two witnesses, the Southern and Northern Kingdom. Hey, I'm not your enemy if you feel that way, but I advise you to go back over these precepts. If you can, go back over the video, share this video with other brothers and sisters who you can reach out to, who may have different perspectives. These are good discussions to have, and I'm blessed and fortunate to be a part of these discussions. But I want to thank y'all for your time and say shalom, and I'll see y'all in about an hour. You brothers can close out.
I'd like to say shalom, family, and one other thing. Who are the two? We know the two witnesses are, but is a possibility, is the two witnesses already here? It's just something to think about. Shalom, peace, and glory to you all.
That's it. Shalom, family. Until see y'all in another hour.